Hi everyone, let's talk about Trois, the solo mode, the King's Challenge, which I just did a playthrough for. It's linked in the description if you want to see the game in action. And I did a two-player game of it about a year ago. I'll link that as well, so you've got both choices. So Trois, I talked about in that first impressions when I did the original playthrough, so I'll talk more about the solo stuff here. But yeah, I absolutely love Trois. It's one of my favourite games, and I don't think there's really anything particularly like it. Well, Black Angel, which shares the designers and shares the shared dice element of it. But yeah, I always keep coming back to Trois. I love the grouping of dice, the way that you can buy them from other players, that nobody really owns these dice, and that there's always a risk involved of leaving dice out, leaving good dice out, because they might not be the action you particularly want to take at that time, but those dice could get bought from underneath you at any time. But then the money you got from that happening might let you buy some really good dice from other people. Yeah, it leads to such fantastic things. But about the solo mode specifically. So it's designed by Shadi Torbet, who, I mentioned this in the playthrough, designed all the Oniverse games, so is really well-versed in solo stuff. And it runs off just a table of actions, and you just roll dice on Leroy's turn, and he will perform an action, usually bending the rules, doesn't need gold or influence or the right dice to do things, just spends some dice. And the way that the dice are ranked in number and then colour, red is better than yellow is better than white. I think I've got that right. The way that they are ranked and the way that your dice are essentially ranked, because that's how, if Leroy is going to use your dice, he will take the best dice. The ranking of those dice pretty much mirrors a lot of what would happen in a real game. There are obviously subtleties to the decisions that real players would make, in that the hierarchy of the colours, it would be different depending on the situation that they're in, and maybe a lower number in a colour that they need for a group is going to be a lot more desirable for them. But in a more simplified way, it works really well at even though he is just rolling dice and his actions are taken completely randomly, essentially. Even though that's the case, it's feels like a lot of the time it does feel like he's getting in somewhere just before you. And I know that it's looking at it properly, he's just rolling dice and just doing things, and the rules that he gets to break allows him to do more of these things that get in your way. But yeah, it is surprising how often he will just take the die that you need, or spend a load of his dice that you were planning on buying later, or get in on a card or knock you out of a building just as you were about to do it. And yeah, he's very good at denying you options of things, even though he is just doing it based on the roll of a die and not based on anything that you are doing. You are trying to beat your own score, but you do, I think that the fact that there is still that buying of dice, both you still get to buy from him, and he is always snatching them away from you, only for certain actions. But as well, I discovered during the playthrough that I previously have played the King's Challenge wrong, because there was something missing in one of the translations, that Leroy keeps going as well until there are no dice left. So he will keep buying your dice if he's gone through all of his quickly. So yeah, he does get to do a lot of things, and they can be really, really lucrative, especially try and make sure that you are on the event cards at least a little bit, because Leroy can just hoover them up in one big go, get the first and second place points, and get cards for the end game scoring, well, maybe mid game scoring, depending on if he takes how often he takes the character action, when he takes the character action, and which characters come out, because there are a couple in there that would be great to leave until the end, the ones specifically for money and influence, if you can have a load of that left at the end, of course. Because Leroy gets nothing for those, but for a lot of the other characters, Leroy's probably going to score pretty highly, so it's up to you to try and make those things happen as much as you can, or hope that particular characters come out just as you have knocked Leroy out of the palace and the city hall, so he doesn't have as many, or the points for tradesman meeples coming out really early, because although you probably haven't got any meeples on there, Leroy won't have many either, so we'll not get them out, whereas they come at the end. Leroy has pretty likely got a lot of those meeples out. So it is a very, very hard scenario to win, in my experience, and from what I've read, that's a kind of common conception of it, that it's just Leroy is a pretty formidable opponent, and I've never won this game. I wouldn't say I've played it a ton of times. I've probably played it 5 or 6 times just in the solo. Never won. Don't think I've ever gotten... I've maybe gotten a little... Maybe I've gotten the rank second to last, but usually I am beheaded because, Leroy has just got such a massive point lead on me. But I still do come back and I still enjoy it. And yeah, I think it can get frustrating, especially towards the end where you are kind of narrowing in on the things that you are good at and you need to get these things done, and Leroy just gets in the way. But that can similarly happen in the real game. And yeah, in the real game, people, chances are doing it on purpose rather than just based on dice rolls. So yeah, the difficulty of it can kind of can get wearing sometimes. But I think that overall, it's a great way of playing Trois solo. A lot of solo things, it's a great way of being able to play the game when other people aren't around or perhaps don't want to. Rach, who I play pretty much everything with, doesn't like Trois in any way. And while we do play it, every now and then, not that we really get that much chance to play a load of old games, and so ones she doesn't like probably get put further back in the queue. So it's great to have that opportunity to play it solo as well. So very, very brutal, but very fun because Trois is brilliant. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye, everyone.